Sonic the Hedgehog is back. After speeding his way straight into a brick wall on the 360 and PS3, the wisecracking mascot is now trying his luck on the Nintendo Wii, with Sonic and the Secret Rings. Is it the final nail in his coffin, or does the Blue Rodent have a couple more laps left in him? The story begins when Sonic meets Shara, a mysterious genie who informs him that her world of the Arabian Nights is being erased page by page by the evil Eraser Jinn. Sonic is then pulled into the book and sets out to recover 7 magical world rings, which may or may not cause him to sacrifice himself.
I'm supposed to be a sacrifice?
Throughout the game, you'll also see cameos from Sonic staples like Tails and Knuckles, but they're only playing characters from the Arabian Nights fables.
Adventurer of adventurers!
Let's face it, Sonic's storylines have never been Pulitzer Prize material. Here, the poor story flounders even more thanks to animated still frames being used instead of full-on cinemas. It's the easy way out, and something we see in a lot of launch window games.
Stop it!
Making matters worse, the voice acting is incredibly grating. As is the script, which happens to contain the world's most dramatic pinky swear.
A promise.
Unlike its story, Secret of the Rings gameplay is surprisingly enjoyable, some of the time. But given the Hedgehog's more recent outings, that's actually saying quite a bit. Essentially, every level is on rails, constantly moving forward. You hold the Wii Remote horizontally like a traditional controller. By tilting the Wii Remote, you can shift Sonic from side to side, collecting rings and avoiding obstacles. You can also jump and, once in the air, thrust the remote forward to smash enemies. This mechanic repeats over and over throughout the game, so it's a good thing that it's actually fun. For the most part, this control scheme works, and when Sonic gets going at a steady clip, the game can get really enjoyable. Unfortunately, you'll have to build up Sonic's stats a great deal before you reach this point. After the completion of a level, you'll unlock more levels, bonuses, and most importantly, abilities that will allow you to run faster, dodge easier, and attack with more power. You can then distribute these abilities however you see fit, depending on what strengths you want Sonic to have for each particular level. There are over 100 upgrades in all, and there are times when you simply won't be able to clear a particular level until you have the correct upgrade. In the early going, Sonic moves incredibly slow and can take what seems like forever to get up to speed. Eventually, though, the game does manage to capture the same feel of the original 2D classics. It just takes a little too long to get there. For every moment of speedy bliss, there's another of frustrating clunkiness. For example, you can stop Sonic and even go in reverse to pick up more coins or take out an enemy. However, the camera doesn't adjust for this at all, basically forcing you to back up blindly. If there were ever to be a sequel to this game, and there definitely should be because it's got potential, the camera is going to need a major overhaul. The wishy-washy controls could use some work as well. Some of the objectives require split-second timing and precision, but the controls simply aren't up to the task. There's definitely a delay at times between tilting the controller and Sonic responding, making some of the more maddening objectives even more so. In addition, there's too much of a focus on memorization. Instead of knowing that there's a chance to make it through a level on your first pass, you basically have to accept the fact that you're going to die. A lot. You're unable to see a lot of objects until you're right up on them, which will cause you to fail and be sent back to the last checkpoint. This series has built its name on speed, and it's a little hypocritical to have to constantly stop and restart. Each level has a variety of challenges to complete before you can unlock the next. So if you think you can run to the end of an area and move on, you're in for a big surprise. The game's length is superficially inflated using this technique, asking you to collect a certain number of rings, not die, or avoid obstacles to complete some of the missions. These conditions will delight hardcore players, but frustrate the young ones to no end. In addition to the single-player quest, there's a collection of over 40 minigames to play with up to 4 players. Not a lot of thought has gone into these, however, making them a relatively pointless addition. There are many moments in Secret of the Rings that are visually impressive. The Wii may be last in the graphics race, but with games like Sonic, it definitely isn't suffering either. Add to that the times when the game conveys a great sense of speed, and Sonic ends up being one of the more graphically advanced games on the Wii. Level design, however, is a little lacking. The game's levels are not linear, so once you unlock any of the 7 worlds, you can jump from one to the other. This interferes with the game's general sense of flow, and if you actually are trying to follow the story, it can get in the way. Secret of the Rings is frustratingly fun. By that we mean it's frustrating how fun the game can be before it hits a part that's decidedly the opposite. The sense of urgency the series is known for is definitely intact, and the first few runs through each level can be a blast. But you're forced to play this game with precision to move on, and the controls simply aren't there. It's definitely a step in the right direction for the series, and Sonic fans who enjoyed his prior 3D romps will eat it up. But curious design choices coupled with the lethargic controls are a recipe for frustration.